Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Brassmonke X. So, I got a special video for you today. We're going to be taking a look at a really cool gun. So this here is my Commando Mk3, okay? These are made by Volunteer Enterprises. They were made back in the 1970s. They are a clone of a Thompson submachine gun. This is semi-automatic. It's not an actual machine gun or anything. It's semi-auto. It's got a 16.5-inch barrel on it. I mean, these things are a blast to shoot. When I take this thing to the range, I tell you, everybody in the range wants to give it a shot. All the range officers come over. They all want to try it out. It's definitely a conversation piece. Everybody wants to fire this bad boy from the hip. I mean, it's a pretty heavy gun. It probably weighs anywhere between I'd say 10 to 12 pounds. But as you can see, it's no Tommy gun. I mean, the wood furniture on it is in pretty good shape, but I mean, they made it out of this really crappy cast metal on the bottom of the receiver here. As you can see, the upper receiver here, it doesn't even have a finish on it. It's just bare metal. Which, I mean, it's whatever. It's fine. As long as you take care of it and oil it, it should be all right. But, I mean, for the most part, they did a pretty good job cloning the Thompson submachine gun. I mean, it's got that muzzle brake or whatever on the front there, that muzzle device that looks very much like a Tommy gun. It's got the ribbed barrel halfway up here for keeping the barrel cool and everything. And it looks pretty much like a Tommy gun. I mean, but if you know what you're looking at, you know that it's not a true Tommy gun. The sights are pretty basic on it. So I was talking to a buddy of mine at work, my friend Rich, and we were talking about the Commando Mk3 and how fun it was at the range and everything. And he asked me if I've ever seen a real Thompson. And I told him no, and I saw where this conversation was going. Apparently, he had one sitting in his safe for the past 30 years. And he asked me if I could clean it up for him, oil it, get it lubed up and ready to go, because he hasn't used it in quite some time. So, guys, I have in my possession right now a real deal Thompson. How cool is that? That's a piece of history right there. Now, I'm no Ian from Forgotten Weapons, all right? I'm not going to be able to give you the history of this thing. I can give you a little bit of info on it. As you can see here, it's a Thompson semi-automatic carbine. It's not fully automatic or anything. It's the model 1927A1. And according to the serial number, I looked it up. It was made in 1976. So it's not like this thing was used by Al Capone or anything out in Chicago, out in the 1930s or whatever, but it is still a cool piece of history. I mean, if you take a look at it, it looks a lot like that Commando. The Commando does a great job of mimicking the real Thompson, but I mean, this thing, this is a work of art, guys. I mean, the wood on it is phenomenal. It's got that 18-inch barrel instead of the 16-inch barrel, like on the Commando. The muzzle device is actually very similar. If I just showed you both the muzzle devices, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Look at that one here. And then let me come back over here to the Commando. Other than the finish on it, it's basically the same damn thing. But it's got the ribbing on the barrel there to control the heat and everything. This one does have the top charging handle instead of the side charging handle. And I thought this was pretty cool too. The magazine release is here on the side. You just push this here and your magazines will drop free. But the real reason I'm here today, guys, is, like I said, my buddy Rich brought this over. I wanted to show it to you real quick. And like I said, I'm not going to have this very long. I'm just going to clean it up for him so he can take it back home. And I just wanted to show you guys how to field strip one of these. Now, I've never had one of these in my possession, so I've tried this before off camera, and oh my god, it's one of the easiest guns I've ever field stripped in my life. all you need is a slotted screwdriver, and you can field strip this thing. So I'm just going to put this on the tripod here. I'm going to show you guys how we do this. Real quick, let me just show you here in the back. This is all you're going to need to do to field strip it. There's a little button on the bottom there, and there's a little button in the back. That's all you need to know how to field strip this. But let me get you on the tripod, and I'll show you how we actually do it. Alright, let me get you set up here, guys. I'll get this off the cradle. Move this out of the way. Alright, now, like I was saying, guys, really simple to disassemble this thing. Now, I checked it off camera. Don't worry, guys. It's safe. It's not loaded. You don't have to worry about it. Right here, okay, you're going to push this up and pull your magazine out, okay? That's your magazine release on the side of the gun here. Now, like I was showing you, on the bottom there, there's this little button. Okay, you're going to push that down with a screwdriver, and you're just going to slide this assembly right off the bottom of it. So, let me show you. We get our screwdriver. We just push up on that little button. Okay, and then we just simply push the receiver apart. Now, when you get to this point, okay, it's going to get stuck. It's not going to go any further. That's because that little button popped back down. So what you do is, sorry about the angles in here, guys. You get your screwdriver, get it up in there, right? Find that little button. You're going to push it back up, okay? And then you're just going to go ahead and separate the two halves. Okay, it stopped again. Just get back under there. Push that button up. And there you go. Your two halves are separated. Now, you're done with your screwdriver. You don't even need that anymore. You got your lower half here, which is your trigger assembly. Okay. We're going to slide that off to the side. We don't really need to break that down any further. And then what you do is with your upper receiver here, if you look underneath, there's 3 springs in here, and there's 3 guide rods, okay? Now, what you do is, this button on the back, okay, you're going to push that in, and when you push that in, okay, you can see that little plate there separates from the back of the receiver just a little bit, okay? And what you do is, grab a hold of it, and you just slide it up. Hold on to it real tight because you don't want that to go flying across the room. It has those 2 springs on there, okay? And then you just go ahead, slide this out. Now make note, one of these springs is a little bit longer than the other, okay? So you want to make sure that that spring goes back in that same hole that it came out of, okay? If you look at this little plate on the back, it's got that little notch in it. You make sure that notch goes down into the receiver, okay? Well, we'll go ahead and set this to the side now. Okay, now all you got to do is this button, you're just going to pull this straight out the back. It'll come out with that spring, okay? Set that to the side. We're almost done. Now all we have to do is remove the bolt from the receiver. So to do that, we're just going to flip our receiver over. Okay, we slide our bolt back to where this hole is in the top of the receiver, and then your bolt is just going to kind of drop right out of the bottom, and your charging handle is going to pop right out of the top. You set that off to the side, and you pull out your bolt. And there you go, guys. That's all there is to field stripping the Thompson, okay? Now to put it back together, you do it in the reverse order. I'm just going to go ahead and, you know what? Before I go ahead and clean it, I'll just put it back together to show you guys how simple it is. To put it back together, you're going to take your bolt, okay? You're going to slide it back into the receiver, okay? And what you're going to do is flip it over. You're going to push your bolt back until that hole in the bolt lines up with the hole in the receiver, okay? You're going to take your charging handle and drop it back down into that hole. Now you're just going to slide your bolt forward. and your bolt stays in place. Flip your receiver back over. Okay. You're going to take the guide rod with the spring, slide this right in that hole in the back, all the way in, and in the back of that bolt, there's a hole for it. It'll just go right in, just like that. Okay. Now, you're going to take this guy with the 2 springs. Remember, this the longer spring was facing towards us. Okay. So we make sure we put that back in the same hole in the bolt down here. We put that longer bolt, the longer spring in first. Start to slide it in. Get the shorter spring in. Okay. Now we kind of work just kind of work the springs because there's going to be a little bit of play in there. Just work them until they go in that hole. Okay. Just like that. You're going to get this plate in the back of the receiver there. Just like that. Okay. Now when you push it down, it's not going to go all the way. It's going to hit that button here. So what you do is you push this button in, and then this plate will drop in all the way, and you're good to go. You just take the upper half and the lower half. Okay. It's easier if you just keep it like this. You're going to take the lower, slide it right onto the upper, just like that, and you're good to go. She's back together, guys. And there you go. That's how you field strip the Thompson here. Let me get you back off the tripod here. I'll give you one final look at this bad boy. But yeah, there it is, guys. It's not often you get to handle yourself a Tommy gun. But pretty cool, guys. I just wanted to show you that before I get this cleaned up and get it back to my buddy. He wants to get home. He's been over here for a while now hanging out. So, yeah, like I said, let me get this cleaned up. And thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time.